Well, good morning. Told you we'd be back. Here we are. We are back at Boat Dark. And somebody tried to correct me and say it was Boisdark, and it is not. It is Boat Dark. Go look up the pronunciation of B-O-I-S-D-A-R-C, and it is in fact Boat Dark. So it's not just my Arkansas upbringing. Also known as a horse apple, or maybe it's Lake Horse Apple. What I will tell you is, no matter how big a motor you got, that needs to get a little oil back here, a little grease. A bass cat will not come off the trailer if you forget to take one of the straps off. I've been doing this a really long time and I still do that. Anyway, did it once in front of Guido Hibden in a Bassmaster Invitational, and I was so embarrassed. He just laughed, said, "Son, don't worry about it, we'll all do it." But first time we came here, we spent all day deep. Today we're gonna spend all day shallow. We're gonna fish in the dirt today and just, I think we can probably get some bites. So we're gonna go check it out and let's go look at some shallow stuff. Hold on, GoPro. The Ken Smith of 20 years ago would be appalled at how much I get to the lake and have to rig stuff during what should be fishing time, but it just boils down to time in the day and work and kids, and you just don't get the time when you got little ones to do all the things you used to do. It used to be I would have went last night or one day this week and rigged all my rigs and got everything done. And here I am, 15 minutes into my day, realizing I don't have near what I want tied on, sitting in the bottom of the boat, not fishing. When I tournament fished a lot, I always prided myself in my time management, and what I mean by that is I felt like nobody got more cast in a day than I did. They might have as many, but there was no sitting down to eat lunch or any of that horse stuff. If I was up, baby, I was fishing. If I was on the water, I was throwing a bait or dragging a bait or winding a bait or something. And that makes a difference. I mean, we all know you can catch a 10-pounder on one cast or a 2-pounder on one cast. And so if you get that one more cast than somebody else does, make a difference. I wish I had a little bit heavier chatterbait than that, but I don't. I tied on a chatterbait. I had a green chatterbait on. Now I've tied on a white chatterbait, and I tied on a spinnerbait. And I also pulled out a swim jig. Should be a lot closer to where I need to be to catch some fish now. So let's check it out.
Catch what?
About 20 probably.
Yeah. They say if you get on them here, you're, you know.
Have you ever been here?
One time before, but I stayed out. Kind of like what you did.
Yeah.
I just ran around looking at stuff off Google Earth.
Yeah.
Just to see what I could see.
Yeah, sir.
But I guarantee if one bites it, I don't care who's looking at me.
Oh,
I'm pulling on.
oh, that's for sure.
I'm pulling on.
I don't know.
I'm a little turned around. It doesn't look like I pictured it out of Google Earth.
No, it does not. Because I looked at it all day, or when I left Patman, and I don't know, it's a lot different than I thought it was going to be.
How many things did you hit over there?
Oh, you ought to see my lower unit right now, and my prize.
That's a hard lake, man.
It is.
I know it, and it scares the crap out of me.
I know.
Oh, I had a fish on. About that long.
I was getting.
He come and got it.
I was getting 5 keeper bites a day, and if I could get them in the boat, I'd have made it to the 3rd day, but I couldn't get them in the boat.
Yeah. came across a high spot there, and I had thrown that fluke out basically, or not fluke, excuse me, that Strike King caffeine shad to get the loop out of my line, and I saw fish following it up. I thought, well, that looked like a bass. So I threw my little panorama in there. Oh, he slung the panorama off. Threw that little panorama in there first cast, and he went, gimme, on that little 3/16 ounce head. That little bitty head I had shown y'all. They're getting bigger. That's a fish that spawned in the lake. If y'all hadn't watched it yet, sorry. If y'all hadn't watched it yet, there's a really good video on Tyler's Reel Fishing. He did a series of videos with Steve Barden. If that name doesn't ring a bell to you, Steve is a fisheries biologist here in Texas who runs a pond management company. Excuse me, lake management company. I don't recall the name of his company, but Steve actually works for Major League Fishing as well, and sits on the Inland Fisheries Advisory Committee with me and some other guys, a bunch of other guys. I think there's 10 or 12 of us. And by the way, that's all I'm doing, is I'm just snoot rigging that little dude like that. And they go out, Tyler goes out with them, and they're on a private lake in West Texas, and they're shocking fish, and Steve's talking about growth rate and spawning in the fall, and just some really interesting stuff, because he's got old that they killed everything in it, they drained it, they killed everything in it, and then they stocked it. So they're tracking how fast those fish grow. He also has some really interesting comments. Matter of fact, I'll put a link to Tyler's video right there. He talks about how if they grow them real fast, there's my bait, I'm gonna grab my bait. If they grow real fast, then they don't live real long. So it's an interesting video. Anyway, thought y'all would enjoy that. If you want to check it out, I'm gonna go grab my bait. Okay, that was a complete, utter miss. I didn't feel the fish bite, it just stopped falling. And I started reeling it up to see if I could ever feel weight, and I was pulling the fish up. The fish was like, okay, I'll go up with you. And then finally I felt him move sideways, or felt him move, and never got a good hook in him. I probably had his head up as I was leading him up, and that's usually not a good thing. But 2-pounder. Chicken head.
I'll say that. Yeah, I mean,
you read it like you had friends with him.
We don't have a yes, but we don't have a no. We remain hopeful. So I'll keep that now.
See if he's got buddies.
Okay.
Well, that was like a 3-pounder right there, right in behind that bush. And I had actually shot, so deep, shallow, deep. And I had shot over here earlier when I was talking to that guy that there were some big ones right in here. And sure enough, that fish was straight down. I'll make another cast on it in a minute. This is either a creek or a roadbed. I'm gonna stick my nose in there and see which one it is. I'm real curious. That's a decent. He's still on there. He's not wanting to swim loose. God. Well, got my butt kicked by an 11-incher. Well, that last fish, that's got to be an old dirt road. There's a path through the trees, and it's higher, but it's clear, but it's not hard. It's not concrete or rocky. I'll tell you what, I have picked up a couple of 100 spiders today. I will say this before I come back up here. I will order a motor cover. I think it's called Tough Skins. And I don't want to spend $300, but I don't want to mark my motor up real bad, and this place is going to do it. And I'm going to fish up here some, so I'm going to go ahead and put a motor cover on it, keep it pretty. I don't want to scarf up my little pretty Mercury, so we're going to do that. I saw a pond up here somewhere I wanted to check out. See if we can find it in the trees up here. Well, the 2 best bites I had today, I didn't catch. That seems kind of fitting, don't it? But I knew if I went shallow, I'd get that, and I did. Had a pretty fun day, though. I got a little too close to that spot. So, I found a spot today. So, you know, this lake, if you think about it, it's going to be 16,000 acres, but it's still 3 or 4 feet lower than where it's going to be. So it's probably 11, 12,000 acres. And, you know, it started flooding in April of 21, so it'll be, it'll be 4 years old this next April. And 4 years ago, what is now 12,000 acres was just some creeks and a few ponds. So no matter how many fish you stock in it, the lake is nowhere near full of fish yet. But when you get around them, they'll show themselves, which is what I've experienced today. But I fished a lot of what everybody's calling dead water, which is just water that don't have a population of fish in it yet. But it will. It's got a lot of good bait in it. It'll get fun real soon. But it is, it's beautiful, really beautiful. I ran into three different guys today that were just done from Wright Patman and just wanting to get a bite. The BFL Regional was over there, and it was difficult. You know, that's a pretty small lake to start with, and being low, it really fished small, so those guys didn't have a lot of fun. I'm gonna get me a motor cover, and we'll sneak back up here on a weekday and fish some more. I need to find me somebody from Bonham that knows this lake a little better. But I don't know anybody from this part of the world. Met several guys up here today. Everybody seemed real nice, but we'll be back again. So I'm just sitting here retying. I got tangled up in a bush, but you know, it's interesting to be on a lake where you've never fished. Yeah, I feel like I'm on a spot right now that nobody's ever fished. I'm sure somebody has, but it kind of changes how you think, because you know, if I was on Rayburn or Toledo or Cedar Creek or Richmond Chambers, you know, it's tough. And I'll tell you all about a spot I have found, but I'd go fish something I fish all the time, something I knew I'd get a bite on, just to get a bite. But I don't have that here because I can't even fish here. So it's really interesting. It makes you keep a really open mind and just keep exploring. It's kind of fun. You know, it's a little slow. You'd like to catch more fish, but that'll come pretty soon, I can promise you. By the way,